So what's the deal with Microsoft HoloLens 2, and will Andromeda have any mixed reality capabilities? All that and more on this week's Ask Dan. Stay tuned. Do you think Microsoft will have some kind of unique mixed reality capabilities built into Andromeda so that it can be positioned as a differentiator in the market? All right, you folks sure love your questions on Andromeda, so let's dive into this one and as to what we're hearing. Now, I've seen some patents out there showing like a holographic display. We're not there yet, folks. I don't believe, at least I've seen nothing to suggest that this thing will have a display that will have holograms coming out of it. As cool as that would be, maybe another 5 years, I don't know. But I'm not hearing anything about that for this device. And speaking of Windows mixed reality directly, well, I teased some of this in the last video, and I'll come out and say it. 3D scanning. Now, this shouldn't be that big of a surprise. Microsoft showed it with Surface Studio during its announcement in late 2016. There, though, they used the Elite X3 to scan a 3D sandcastle, and then it goes into the device, and that works with 3D paints. We've never actually seen that actually come to fruition, but I am hearing this device actually supports that and a combination of hardware. I don't want to talk about the hardware specifically yet. We are hearing a couple things about the camera. Speaking of that camera, don't expect a Lumia 950 or a Lumia 1020 rebirth here. This will be a nice camera, but I don't think that's its main focus. But 3D scanning will be a part of this. And that is kind of how this works with Windows Mixed Reality, I think. More specifically, the idea is you can scan an object, put it into there, and then manipulate it and use it that way for creating objects. It's not necessary for viewing Windows Mixed Reality, although who knows, they may have augmented reality with its camera as well, sort of what Google is doing with its Android stuff. Now, another bit of rumor we're starting to hear is in regards to HoloLens 2, which I'll talk about a little bit later on as well. We are hearing that this device will work closely with HoloLens 2 and probably Surface Hub. That is, these devices will all work together to allow collaboration along with Windows Mixed Reality, inking, and more. So we'll have to wait for Microsoft to give some more details there, but that's how I envision this device. It'll be used as a tool to help create Windows Mixed Reality, not necessarily view Windows Mixed Reality. Are there any rumors on the next iteration of HoloLens? Have you heard anything through the grapevine? Speaking of Windows Mixed Reality, what's the deal with HoloLens 2? Now, I hear a lot of people always say, well, HoloLens is dead and who cares? But no, HoloLens is still around. Windows Mixed Reality is definitely a thing. We are actually hearing some cool stuff with Windows Mixed Reality, by the way, that's coming out, including hopefully sharing your Cliff's house with a neighbor. So yes, your friends can come over and visit you and hang out virtually, which would be really cool stuff. But let's talk about HoloLens 2. It is still a thing. It's still being developed. Now, I think some of this is gonna be kind of obvious. You can piece it together. For instance, we'll be running an Intel Atom processor like the last one. Probably not. Where is Microsoft going with all this stuff lately? Well, Windows 10 on ARM, so why not expect a Snapdragon 845 or 850 processor involved there? After all, not only could you put that on there, but now HoloLens would be mobile. Yes, you can use it on an LTE network. That's sort of a limitation right now with HoloLens. It could only work on Wi-Fi. Well, that's kind of cool. Having LTE on there would be even cooler. That's even more important for people who want to use this out in the field. Like right now, there's a lot of constructions and engineers and architects who are using HoloLens, and having LTE will be a big deal. Another thing I can tell you about HoloLens 2 is probably what version of the OS it's going to run. It's going to be Windows Core OS, specifically Oasis. So that is the code name. If that sounds a little bit familiar, it's because we've talked about Polaris before and Andromeda. So Oasis is the Windows Mixed Reality composer for Windows Core OS. And so that is something we can expect. As to what that looks like, what it all means, well, we have to wait and see. These composers will be coming online through 2019. Microsoft's going through a process right now. Andromeda is the first one, then comes Polaris, then Oasis, and a few other ones as well, including Xbox later on. As to when to expect HoloLens 2, I wish I could tell you, but maybe not till 2019. I do expect a leapfrog though in technology. It should be smaller, it should be lighter, it should get better battery life, it should run Windows 10 on ARM, should have LTE, and hopefully be cheaper as well. Whether or not Microsoft now pushes it into the consumer market remains to be seen. I still think it'll be positioned for more prosumer at that level, but we got some time to figure it out, so stay tuned. I use my Lumia 950 primarily as a camera that does social media, texting, and web browsing. Should I stick with it or buy a dedicated camera instead? All right, so if you're a Lumia 950 user in 2018, well, God bless you. I don't know what else to say. I know it's a fun device. I like the size of it and everything, but that processor right now kind of kills it for me. It's quite a few generations behind, and it gets pretty hot and doesn't get very good battery life. If you're happy, though, using it, by all means, stick with it. There's no reason to switch. However, in saying that, I would say the competitor cameras have really caught up. Whether you want Android or iOS, I think there are good options on either one of those that will fulfill that need. As to buying a dedicated camera, such as a small point and shoot, while those have dramatically improved over the coming years and you can definitely buy one, I don't really prefer them anymore. It's just an extra device to carry around. I would rather get a Pixel 2. It's so small, it's tiny, fits in my pocket. It does all the stuff you need it to, and it has easily the best camera, I think, on the market right now that will compete with any of those devices. Now, I get it, a dedicated camera has a larger sensor and can do better stuff, and there's always a trade-off. I carry around a D750 from Nikon as my professional level camera. When I went into vacation, though, recently, I did not take it because I was not going to take a boat anchor around with me. Now, I could take better photos with it, but I stuck with the Pixel 2, and that's what I recommend here. So maybe keep the 950 around for photos or just using it around, but I think it's time to move on to a different type of phone for you. Microsoft Build 2018 is still not sold out. Is it a sign of lack of interest in Microsoft? So a few weeks back, someone asked me about Microsoft Build and whether it was still on track, and I said look for the first 2 weeks of May in Seattle, and guess what? It's happening the first 2 weeks of May in Seattle. Somehow I magically knew that. In fact, it's going to happen May 7th through the 9th. And that unfortunately overlaps with Google I/O, which happens on the 8th through the 10th, and they're not the same towns. And I'm going to give Google a little credit here. We have to be honest, if there's going to be a lot of momentum, it's going to be with Google. They got a lot more going on with Android right now. They have their home stuff going on. So I think devs, if they had to choose, would probably go to I/O. I think Google's also been pretty good at still giving out free hardware, which is an enticement, where Microsoft has actually cut back on that in recent years. As to what we can expect at Build, well, there's only one keynote instead of two, and it seems to be not as big as it's going to be in the past. And I'm not really hearing a lot of stuff that's going to be going on. We may even hear of a second event going on that's going to talk about Redstone 5 and more consumer stuff, including possibly even Andromeda. We'll have to wait and see there. But yeah, short answer, I think Google has a momentum here. And it's just unfortunate that both of these shows, for the first time, are going to overlap completely. I think Microsoft's going to lose out a little bit here. So that does it for this week's episode. Remember, if you have a question, use hashtag AskDanWindows on Twitter, or drop me an email at askdan@windowscentral.com. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget, we do our podcast every Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on mixer.com/WindowsCentral. So join us for more conversation there. Take care, everybody. Question, use hashtag AskDanWindows on Twitter, or drop me an email at I don't know what my email is. AskDan@windowscentral.com. Okay.